Hello, my name is Dr. Black, and I'd like to tell you about the book I've been reading. The book I selected for this book talk is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. It's one of my favorites from the past. I read it years ago, but recently was reminded of it when my grandkids started telling me about this series of books that they were reading, and so I picked it up and decided to share it with you today. I'm an avid reader, love to do so, and my favorite time to read is once I'm snuggled under the covers in bed with a flashlight and a book. And so that's how I reread this book most recently. The author is, as I mentioned, C.S. Lewis, and he's a very famous writer. He died, unfortunately, in 1963, so his books are a little bit older. He was born in Ireland and lived in England, so that's an important point because some of the wording, etc., that phrases that he uses are British English rather than American English, which we're more familiar with. He wrote over 40 books, but his most famous books were the Chronicles of Narnia, from which comes this book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So let me tell you about the book. The major characters are four siblings, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. And this is their adventure going into Narnia, which is the setting of the book for most of it. The children were living in an era of World War II, and they were living in London. And so to keep them safe from bomb raids, their parents sent them on to stay with a family friend out in the country. And they were a little bored. There wasn't a whole lot to do, and there was a rainy day. And so they decided to play hide and go seek. While they were playing, the youngest child, Lucy, hid in a wardrobe. And for those of you that might not know what this is, it's like a closet, but it's a piece of furniture that's movable. It's not like a built-in piece. So she jumped in the wardrobe and was hiding, but she kept moving back and back further into the coats, thinking that she didn't want to be found if someone opened the door. But what happened is that she fell out on the other side into this fantastical world with even animals that talked, a queen, a lion, and all kinds of adventure. So when she went back in and told her siblings about it, of course, because she's the youngest, they thought she was making up the story. But Edmund, the brother next older to her, who was a little bit of a, what should I say, he wasn't very nice. He decided to investigate for himself so he could come and make fun of his sister because it didn't really happen. But what he found was that he went into Narnia also. And he came across one of the major characters in the book, the White Witch. She's also the queen of Narnia, and she's cast a spell that has put winter forever and ever and ever on for as long as the residents now could remember. And so Edmund met the White Witch, and she enticed him with this special candy, Turkish Delight. And then he started blabbering about everything and told her about his brother and his sisters that were mean to him, etc., etc. And she perked up right away because there was a prophecy in Narnia that 2 boys and 2 girls, humans, would come in and destroy her reign and call Aslan, the hero of the story, back into Narnia, and her reign would end. So she convinced him to go back and tell his siblings that they needed to come in and see it. And so they did. And when they were there, they met Mr. and Mrs. Beaver, some of the talking animals, and they told the children about the prophecy. Edmund snuck out, and he became a traitor to his brother and sisters, telling the queen exactly where they were. And so she wanted to go and get them and get rid of them so that her reign would continue. And so, long story short, to not tell you too much of the story, Aslan returned. Aslan was a lion, and he was the king of the wood. And so there was a showdown between the queen and Aslan, and something horrific happens, and you think it's going to be the end. But to figure out the end, to find out the end, you need to read the rest of the book. So why should you read the rest of this book? Well, if you're into fantasy, it's something I think that you would really enjoy. It's not a super long book. Each of the books within the series are, I think, 200 pages or less. It's a very engaging story. It's very readable. It's something that I think that you would really enjoy. So let me read you a little excerpt from the book. "Who is Aslan?" asked Susan. "Aslan," said Mr. Beaver. Why don't you know? He's the king. He's the lord of the whole wood. but not often here, you understand. Never in my time or my father's time, but the word has reached us that he has come back. He is in Narnia at this moment. He'll settle the White Witch, the White Queen, all right. It is he, not you, that will save Mr. Tumnus, one of the other characters that Lucy met the first time she was there. She won't turn him into stone, too, said Edmund. Lord love you, son of Adam. What a simple thing to say, answered Mr. Beaver with a great laugh. Turn him into stone? If she can stand on her 2 feet and look him in the face, it'll be the most she can do, and more than I expect of her. No, no. He'll put all to rights, as it says in the old rhyme in these parts. Wrong will be right when Aslan comes in sight. At the sound of his roar, sorrows will be no more. When he bares his teeth, winter meets his death. And when he shakes his mane, we shall see spring again. You'll understand when you see him. But will we see him? Asked Susan. Why, daughter of Eve, that's what I brought you here for. I'm to lead you where you shall meet him, said Mr. Beaver. Is he a man? Asked Lucy. Aslan a man? Said Mr. Beaver sternly. Certainly not. I tell you he is the king of the wood and the son of the great emperor beyond the sea. Don't you know who is the king of the beasts? Aslan is a lion. The lion. The great lion. I hope you'll take the time to read the story. I think you'll really like it. So let me show you the artifact that I did that represents this book. Let me push this back a bit so you can see it more fully. You'll see that in the center there's writing, and this is a form of poetry called Diamante. Now, I'm not much of an artist, so what I did is I selected different pictures. There's a picture of Aslan, there's a picture of the White Witch, there's a picture of Aslan with the kids, and then a picture of the wardrobe. And I thought this would be a good way to represent the book because it allows you to see the different characters, or at least a representation of the different characters, while also focusing in on 2 of them. The neat thing about the Diamante poem is that the first 3 lines are explicitly about one character, and then line 4 has a portion, and then starting in line 4 going down to line 7, it's about another person or another noun that you use. So let me read you mine. Lucy, kind, valiant, trusting, forgiving, growing. Sister, believer. Then here it switches. Villain, brother, quarreling, learning, changing, mean-spirited, humble, Edmund. I hope you've enjoyed my book talk and that it helps you to understand a little bit more about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.